Hi everybody, welcome to this martial arts warm-up. I've been getting a lot of questions about what I like to do to prepare for a striking class or taekwondo or wrestling, whatever it is, and this is one of my favorites. These are a couple of different warm-up and mobility exercises that I've learned from different coaches and trainers over the years, and let's just jump right into it. So the first thing we're going to do is start warming up our proprioception, or our sense of balance, and then also the hips, knees, and toes. We do that through an exercise called toe taps. These are you might recognize these if you've ever had to work on your knees or had any kind of rehabilitative surgery or something. But begin by balancing on your left foot. Go ahead and hover your right foot forward. So first, just gain a sense of balance. Root down through your left side. Feel balanced around all four corners of that standing leg. Push down. Tuck the tailbone under. Engage your left glute. Really feel the stability in this left leg. With the right leg hovered forward, we're going to imagine we're standing on the surface of a clock. Now we're going to just kind of reach and tap those different numbers to start warming up the hip and the knee and the ankle in this standing leg. So first thing, we're going to slowly reach forward to 12 o'clock, tap, come back to center. Now when you come back to center, try to stay balanced. If you need to take a minute to kind of get your balance back, that's fine, but the more you do this, the more you want to focus on really balancing on this leg, and that's going to activate this leg and warm it up a little bit more. So after you reach to 12, reach straight out towards 3 o'clock, give a tap, come back. Notice I'm not overreaching, I'm not falling out of balance. I really want to keep this knee and my hip, my knee, my ankle kind of on the same plane. I don't want to be setting my knee that way, setting my knee that way. So we go 12, 3, then we go straight back to 6. You can really reach for this one. This is a pretty comfortable kind of a lunge for most people. All right, we did 12, 3, 6. Now we're going to go diagonal, reaching out to 2, and then reaching back to about 4 or 5. Now here come the tricky ones. Next, we're going to go laterally. We're going to slide the right leg around the back, reach all the way over to 9 o'clock, give a little tap, back to center. Same thing going around the standing leg this time, reaching over to 9 o'clock. I like to bend a little bit into the standing leg first, then kind of reach around, reaching for like 9 or 10 o'clock. Then we'll switch it out and give your legs a little shake, balance over your right foot, root down through all four corners, hover this left foot forward, find your balance, push down through your leg. Again, as we move through, we want to keep the hip, the knee, and the ankle relatively in the same plane. Another way of thinking that is align your femur along your big toe. Make sure that your femur is always pointing on the same line that your big toe is. So balance the left foot forward. Again, we'll start off by reaching, giving a little tap on 12, back to center, then straight out towards 9, give it a little tap, back to center, straight back to 6, center. Now we'll work on the diagonals, going out to about 10 o'clock, center, again staying aligned on this right side, over toward 8 o'clock, I think that's 8 o'clock, back to center, and then we'll go straight out to 3 o'clock, threading the leg around, or behind the standing leg first, back to center, and then around the front of the standing leg. So again, bend a little bit first, then wrap around, reach towards 2 or 3, come back. So let's do that again on the other side. We'll move a little faster. Know what we're doing. Balancing on the left, hover the right foot forward, 12 o'clock. Good, bend a little bit more into it this time. 3 o'clock, straight back to 6, and around the back over to 9, and around the front over towards about 9 or 10. Same thing on the other side. Balance on your right foot, hover the left foot forward, reach into 12 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, all the way back to 6. Up and over to the left for 11 o'clock, back and down to 8 o'clock, around the behind the standing leg to 3 o'clock. Having trouble articulating that one today. And then around the front of the standing leg to about 2 o'clock. Next, we'll transition into a horse squat. Start loosening up the shoulders. So begin with your feet just outside shoulder length. Then pivot on your toes, kick the heels out as far as you can. Then pivot on the heels, kick the toes out 45 degrees. From here, you should have a nice wide stance. Toes are pointing out 45 degrees. Then I'm going to take my hips back a little bit and then sink down into my horse squat. So I want to keep the knees stacked over top of the ankles. If you do yoga, you might call this the goddess squat. Same kind of thing. Really just want to get the hips low. Should be able to balance a board across your legs. Okay, from here, take one hand, let's call it the left hand, to your belly button. Take the other hand, the right hand. Imagine that you're holding a teacup. Okay, offering your tea to your friends. Then the first one, we're going backwards. So we're going to hold the tea, then we're going to take it away. We're going to take the tea underneath the arm, circle around to the front. Notice how I can bend through the torso a little bit to not spill my tea as I circle it around to the front, overhead, back to starting position. So I'm taking it away, circling, I don't spill my tea, overhead, down. That's 2. We got 3 more. 3. Add some fluidity to it. 4. And 5. Coming back, make sure you haven't lost your horse squat. So check in, make sure the legs are burning. Okay, we're warming up the legs a little bit. Now we're doing the same thing with the teacup, only going forward. Engage your abs, keep your chest nice and tall. Offer your tea to your friends. Take it overhead like a waiter and bring it down around the front. Don't spill as you come across. Then wrap from behind. Again, overhead, out to the front. Adding some fluidity to that movement. You're gonna warm up the shoulders. Don't lose your squat. I totally lost count, so we'll just do one more. Good, come out of the squat. Go ahead, shake the legs a little bit. Good. Now do the same thing on the other side. Find that horse squat. Take your legs, or your feet rather, just outside shoulder width distance. Kick the heels out, kick the toes out. Bend, sit down with the hips, keep the knees relatively over the ankles, nice and flat across the thighs. Let's take the right hand to the belly button, left hand's holding my tea. I'm just gonna slowly take it behind my back. I'm not gonna spill as I rotate it around. Behind, overhead. Go a little slower, don't lose your squat. And notice how this shoulder, this side might feel a little tighter than the other side. That's okay. Especially in martial arts, if you have one side that's conditioned a little bit more than the other, it's gonna feel tighter, usually because the muscle's a little stronger, it's a little bit more tense. All right, going the other way, hand to belly button, left hand out in front. Offer your tea to your friends, overhead like a waiter, circle it around to the front, and come in from behind. Good. Don't lose your squat. Sit nice and deep. I know I lost mine. Keep circling. Good. We've got 2 more. And 1 more. All right. So come up. Shake out the legs. Next, we've got our, it's like a half Cossack squat. So I'm going to start warming into the legs and hips. So let's take the feet about as wide as you just had them. Okay, so pretty wide, but this time we want the toes to face forward, relatively forward. You can duck the toes out just a little bit if that feels comfortable. And we're gonna go side to side with the Cossack squats. So let's go the right side first. Keep your left leg straight. We're not going down all the way. Just gonna bend this right leg about anywhere from, working towards a 90-degree angle. But depending on how tight your hips are, maybe it's just one of these. Real light. Toes on the left side turn up as you come over into your right side. Come back to standing. Then the same thing over to the left. Again, a little bend in the leg. This leg stays straight, toes go up. We're gonna go for about 8 on each side. So that's 1. And then notice, I'm gonna get a little bit of rhythm to this, and I'm gonna start sinking a little deeper, but I always take my hips back first and then sink into my bending leg. Okay, so I'm sending my weight back into my standing heel. There's 3. Arms staying nice and tight. You can keep them out. Lock up your arms, get a little bit more engagement through your core and your chest. Just going side to side, gradually getting deeper. We're gonna go real deep with this in the next exercise. So this is just kind of like priming the body. This should feel pretty easy. Nothing too challenging here. And let's get a couple more on each side. We'll call it 1, 1, and 2, 2. All right, go ahead and shake that out. So this is a rotational exercise I learned from Luis Baboon Palomino down in Miami. It's really, really great for warming up the hips, hip flexors, also the insides of the thighs. Really, really awesome for capoeira, any kind of martial arts that throw spinning kicks, got your Muay Thai leg kicks, whatever it is. I really love this exercise, so I'm gonna stop talking about it, just jump right into it. On this one, we're gonna take another wide stance, pretty much the same width as you just had for the Cossack squats. And we're gonna go, it's 3 different movements that we're gonna roll into one. The first movement is coming down into a full Cossack squat, but the toes on your straight leg are going to stay facing forward, and I'm pressing down to the inside edge of my heel. On this side, I'm going to keep this foot flat. If you need to pick the heel up off the ground, that's going to make it a little easier. Send the knee forward. There's no right or wrong way, but just know that if you keep this foot flat, you're going to get more of a stretch in this right hip. So this is 1. Now for 2, I'm going to roll toes up on the left side, sit down a little bit, kind of feel that stretch in the belly of my hamstring. And then 3, I'm going to pivot on both toes into my lunge, facing laterally. Okay, micro bend in the left knee, pushing through this hip, squaring the hips, getting a stretch in this left hip flexor. From here, I just come back to standing. Same thing on the other side. Bend into the left side, right leg stays straight, this right foot stays flat. Here's position 1. Position 2, turn the right toes up on the right side, sink the hips, that extra stretch in the belly of the hamstring. And then for 3, rotate on the toes, come around to lunge, facing to your left-hand side. Micro bend in the back leg, pushing through that femur, square the hips, get a good stretch in that right hip flexor. Back to standing. Same thing, we're gonna move through this, add a little bit of rhythm to it. So on my count, let's begin. 1, 2, 3, rotate to lunge. Back to standing. 1, 2, 3, rotate to lunge. Use your dynamic movement and your breath to begin peeling open the hips. 1, 2, 3. Back to standing. 1, 2, 3. Back to standing. 1, 2, 3. Back to standing. 1, 2, 3. Oh, back to standing. So if you start to lose your balance, you kind of toe heel your feet until you catch yourself. We got 2 more on each side. 1, 2, 3. 1. Okay. 2, 3. Move slowly. This can be deceptively difficult. 1 more on each side. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. All right, a couple more, some breathing exercises, and we're done. This next stretch, it's a hip stretch. Shout out to Jonas, Stout Training in Pittsburgh. Taught me this stretch a few months ago. I really like it. I've seen it around a lot. You've probably seen it too. We'll come down to all 4s and then walk the knees out as wide as is comfortable. Okay, then crawl the hands forward so you're starting to come down to these sphinx arms on your forearms. You might be able to get your knees a little wider at this point. Now, make sure your legs are at 90-degree angles so my heels are aligned behind my knees. And then I'm just going to sink the hips forward, breathe in. On the exhale, try to come up to all 4s, take the hips straight back. Not all 4s, rather. Just pushing back through the hands. Inhale, rock the hips forward. On the exhale, pushing back. Good, inhale forward. Exhale, pushing back. Good. Mix your breath with your movement here. Going for about 10 reps, here's 5. I think I'm horrible at counting. The numbers aren't really important anyway. We're just getting some movement. Feeling that hip stretch. If your hips start to get real loose and you want to take the knees a little wider, go ahead and do that. There's 8. Let's get 2 more. 9, and 10. Nice job. All right. Last thing, should be feeling pretty warm at this point. If you're not feeling warm, restart those exercises. Try to pick one that's going to dial into whatever's feeling tight, whether it's the shoulders, the legs, the hips.